Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Teacher Time. I'm your host, Joshua Myers. I'm joined by my co host, Billy
William.
Beasley,
Yep.
and our teacher, Mr. V.
What's going on, guys?
So, today, Mr. V, we don't know much about you since you're a new teacher. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, so first thing, let's get the name out of the way first, because a lot of people have struggled with that, and that's kind of what the Mr. V, the Coach V side of it is one of the things I picked up once I started education, but it's pronounced Vollenweider. So get Vollenweider, Voodoo Hooper sometimes, but Vollenweider is how we pronounce it.
Is that German?
Very German. People ask me, "Where are you from?" Like, I'm from America, but I got some ancestors from Germany. Came over, kind of immigrated to South Georgia, and that ended up here now.
All right. Yeah. Just like, how is it teaching first year production students and guiding them through having to learn something as complex as that?
It's been an adventure. It's been good that I've had nothing but first years, so they're all starting from ground zero. So I tell everybody all the time, I said they don't know what they don't know yet. So seeing them grow already just in the first 2 months has been kind of amazing to see. And just knowing that they've got possibly 3.5 years left in the program, I'm excited to see what they're gonna build over the next few years.
So, have you had a good experience this year so far?
So far, I love it. So a little bit of my background, I've actually taught math for the last 13 years from in Mississippi. So being that I've kind of transitioned away from that and teaching broadcasting full time, I can't ask for a better year so far.
What was teaching math like?
It was an adventure, we'll say that. So I taught every year that I taught Algebra 2, mixing a few geometry and Algebra 1 classes in there. But definitely my heart's in the TV production, the broadcasting side of things.
What has been the biggest challenge production wise this year?
I think just, for me coming in year one, understanding what all we've had, what equipment we have, how things have been done in the past, and I've got my experience of what I've done in the past, and Mr. Foster's done his side of things, and understanding that he may do things slightly a little different than what I've done, and also kind of just the technical aspect of with some changes we've made at the football stadium and everything. And the thing about production is, don't matter if you're doing the Super Bowl or if you're doing a one camera stream, you're going to have technical issues, and just getting over those hurdles day in and day out has been an adventure. And I think we're kind of to a point finally we've kind of fixed some of those things to the point to where I think our productions are going to continue to grow.
All right. Yeah. I feel like this is a big question. I want to know how you put up with this because I wouldn't be able to. What's it like overlooking the football games with someone like Aiden Massey, like around? Like I have to know.
So Aiden is definitely a special breed. Love you, Aiden. Just letting you know, buddy. Aiden, I will give him credit for this. He is definitely eager and willing to learn. And I've said this for anybody that gets into production, that if you want to learn, I don't care if you know nothing. You will eventually get to the point to where, your effort goes a long way into your show.
Has there been any students where it's just like, you can't do this anymore? You have to just give up.
That's a good
Or
question.
not give up, but just take over for them.
I'll say this. Kind of what the intro kids are working on. They're working on a this or that type edit. So the first time they've gone out and used some stick mics and asked some folks some questions, and there's been some questionable responses they've gotten, and they put it in their final edits. And I kind of watched it for the first time today, and I said, nope, kind of have to go back and say, no, we're not gonna do that anymore. And I think just sometimes also taking that step back, especially in the live production side of things, step back, give somebody show them the experience like, hey, let's do it this way instead of this way. And by showing them, they get a better idea of what they probably need to do.
What are your overall thoughts on our football team this year?
Uh, I'm going to hold off on talking about the actual football side of things because at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, my only concern is the production. The
Right.
production is, for what we have at Pelham High School is something that a lot of schools don't have. And I really think a lot of students need to take advantage of it because there's a lot of colleges out there, a lot of big colleges out there that don't have what all the students at Pelham High School have. The administration's been great. They have supported financially with a ton of gear over the years, and not only the years, but including this year with me coming in, the addition of computers and cameras, that I think the student body can really take advantage of what they have here at Pelham High School.
All right, transitioning from that, what are your thoughts on our production overall, like our production crew, everything that we have here?
It's pretty good. It's when I first walked in this summer and saw what all we had, and even when I was in the interview process back in April, just me looking on YouTube and seeing what all you guys have done in the past, I was amazed at what Mr. Foster has built over the last 7 years. With that being said, our ultimate goal though is to grow it. I think over the next year or so, I think we've kind of got a plan in our heads of what we want to do, and I think you guys are going to see some stuff in the next couple of years that's going to be pretty impressive.
All right. Well, what are you most excited about, like production-wise, this year? Because we have the telethon we're gonna do again
Right.
this year. We have a whole bunch of other things, like the volleyball game tonight. What is just
Right.
how? What are you excited for?
I think just the sheer number of streams that we're going to end up doing on the NFHS network. Like I told all the kids all the time, I said the more experience you can get, the more shows you do, the better you'll get. And the beauty of with it being at the high school level, you guys can run a show where you may be directing one game one week, you may be running camera the next week, you may be running graphics the next game, you may be TDing. I think if you can get a full, well-rounded experience within a production, understanding that, hey, as a camera operator, I may be thinking one thing, but if I go in that director's chair, I get a better idea of what I need to be shooting, and it just makes the entire production so much better. Because that's how I learned. Because I got my experience started off as a camera operator. Then as I moved up into my experience into technical directing and replay operating, and then eventually I found myself in a director's chair on a Saturday afternoon.
Have you ever been a director or just part of a big production for a college football game, NFL game, any really like big sport like that?
All right, so let me just kind of give you all the whole short but long story about how I got into this side of things. So I went to college at Mississippi State, grew up about 25 minutes from there. So when I first started off, I had a decision. I wanted to either go into engineering, I could do a sports communication major, or go into teaching. Well, originally started off in engineering, had a really big math background, decided that probably not the best thing I really want to do. So I decided, hey, I like sports, not the best athlete in the world, but I want to still be around it. So sports communication was kind of the next route for me. Ended up getting a job as a sophomore at Mississippi State, filming football practices at Mississippi State. Absolutely loved it. Team wasn't that great, but had the time of my life. Got to travel all over the country, all over the SEC. With that being said, our office was right next to the video board production office. So kind of getting to know them, that's how I got my foot in the door there. Kind of started working video board production shows, and just kind of worked my way up with that. Kind of left school for a little bit, came back, started my teaching career. But with that kind of came more responsibility. And then I eventually just kind of happenstance, I'll slid into the director's role. I was TD in a football game, very first football game of the year against Southern Miss. They're having issues outside, and the guy that was directing was also in the athletic department. He had to slide over and put out a fire, basically. So I was there as a TD, ended up in the director's chair, and ended up directing the rest of the game. Well, they decided after that, hey, I'm actually got a pretty good idea of what I'm doing. So slid in the director's chair for the next 5 years. Was there from 2014 through 2018. Absolutely loved it. Kind of in the same time as that, when 2014 rolled around, was when the SEC Network came around. And if you know anything about the SEC Network, they do a lot of streaming stuff on ESPN. Well, a lot of that is not produced in the old school way of a truck. It's actually produced in-house through video board control rooms, and kind of just right place, right time, so started doing a lot of ESPN Plus productions for Mississippi State volleyball, basketball, soccer, whatnot. If you saw it, I was probably either in the replay chair, technical directing, camera operator, or directing one of those shows.
If you never got this job, would you still be teaching math?
Most likely, yes, because there's not many TV production jobs out there, but there's plenty of math jobs out there. That's one of the things that I was always told is that if you teach math or science, you pretty much are guaranteed a job for the rest of your life.
If you could direct for the Iron Bowl, would you do it?
Iron Bowl, I don't really care about the Iron Bowl. Egg Bowl, different story.
Okay, well,
that may be a hot take for a lot of people here in Alabama. Sorry, guys.
what is your biggest accomplishment as a director?
I wouldn't say a clean show is what you strive for. I think there's a lot that goes into a production on the front end of things, the storytelling and the producing side of things. That if you can pay off certain storylines that you've planned for, and the ability to show that in a way that the audience at home can really get the message conveyed that you're wanting to convey. I think if you get a show that where you've run all these elements, I think as a director and producer, I think you've done all you can do. Because at the end of the day, the sports is the meat and potatoes of it, but at the end of the day, you're still trying to tell a story. Because at the end of the day, football's football. But if we're talking about the guy that is coming back from an injury after being gone for 3 or 4 weeks, how has he struggled? How has he rehabbed? If you as a director and producer can let everybody kind of bring that into them and the audience at home, you can't beat that.
If you had to pick a production that we've done either while you've been here or while you haven't been here, what would you say is the best overall?
I think every production just kind of has its own. I think you start ranking them. It's like your own children. You can't rank your own children. You may have your favorite, but as a whole, you can't really do that, unfortunately.
I would have said the telethon.
Well, here's the deal. I haven't been a part of the telethon yet, so I can't really rank that yet.
It was an experience.
Ask me in May, and we may go down that road.
Mm-hmm. All right. I still remember we did those Christmas interviews.
Oh yeah, those sucked.
They were terrible.
Is there any promising first years you're seeing out of your classes?
I don't really want to put them on blast because I don't want them to get a big head. But yeah, there's definitely about 3 or 4 already that I can just tell you by the time they're seniors, they're gonna do amazing things here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how excited for you are the future, just for our production now that you're here with all this extra stuff on board with things, and we've got a very solid, stable director for a lot of things?
Well, I think just knowing that there's going to be, it's just like building depth on a football team. I think, you build that foundation with a solid group of first years, and then as they progress through the program, you'll see them grow. And I think setting that example for years to come is just only going to be a positive for everybody else in the future.
Well, I can't think of any more questions. You got any, Will?
No? I mean, I think we really covered all the bases.
Mm-hmm. Any lasting comments, Mr. V?
No, I'm good, guys.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, Mr. V. I know
Thank
it's
you.
kind of at an inconvenient time. But this has been Teacher Time with Billy B and Mr. V. Thank you all for watching.